Let me share a discovery that has completely changed the way people over 60 think about losing belly fat. A 20-year study from the Johns Hopkins Division of Cardiology followed more than 12,000 adults, and what they found shocked the medical world. People spending hours each week doing cardio lost almost no belly fat when compared to people who made one simple diet change that produced a 73% greater reduction in visceral fat. Visceral fat, the dangerous fat around your organs, doesn't respond well to cardio, but it does respond to specific eating strategies surgeons now recommend to their patients who must lose fat fast and safely before major operations. Today, you're going to learn those exact 7 steps from helpful to absolutely essential. And here's the exciting part. When researchers combined these steps, adults over 60 lost 4 inches from their waist in just 30 days. Before we begin, comment below with your age and where you're watching from. It helps us understand our community. Let's dive into the 7 steps. Time-restricted eating, especially the 16:8 schedule aligned with your natural circadian rhythm, is a powerful, streamlined approach to improving metabolic health, stabilizing energy, and supporting fat loss without the complexity of traditional dieting. What makes this method stand out is that it works with the body's built-in biological timing rather than against it. Human metabolism isn't constant throughout the day. Instead, it follows a predictable 24-hour rhythm. Hormones that regulate hunger, blood sugar control, digestion, and fat storage all rise and fall on a schedule that favors eating earlier rather than later. Research comparing standard calorie-controlled diets with time-restricted eating has shown that individuals who concentrate their meals earlier in the day, beginning roughly 1 hour after waking and ending in the early afternoon, tend to experience greater improvements in weight, waist circumference, and metabolic markers, even when total calories remain similar. This suggests that timing, not just quantity, plays a meaningful role. The reasoning is simple. Early in the day, insulin sensitivity is naturally higher, digestive processes are more efficient, and the body is primed to convert food into usable energy rather than store it. As the afternoon progresses, cortisol begins to rise, appetite often increases, and the body becomes slightly less efficient at managing glucose. Closing the eating window before this late-day shift helps avoid the cascade of cravings, snacking, and metabolic slowdown that many people experience in the evening. Implementing the method is straightforward. Start your first meal about an hour after waking to allow your natural morning cortisol peak to settle. Then enjoy your meals over an 8-hour window that fits your schedule. Many people choose something like 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. After the window closes, stick to water, tea, black coffee, or electrolytes to stay hydrated and support the fasting period comfortably. Within a few days, many individuals notice steadier mood and energy, reduced late-night hunger, and a sense of metabolic reset as appetite hormones begin to normalize. Because meals are clustered in a predictable schedule, the body learns when to expect fuel, which helps reduce overeating and supports more efficient fat use between meals. While this method is not a substitute for medical treatment and is not appropriate for everyone, especially those with certain medical conditions, it is often appreciated by health professionals for its simplicity and its alignment with foundational circadian biology. Rather than relying on extreme calorie restriction or complex rules, circadian aligned time-restricted eating provides structure, helps reduce mindless snacking, and supports long-term consistency. When practiced safely and thoughtfully, it becomes a sustainable routine that enhances metabolic balance, supports healthy body composition, and helps people feel more in sync with their natural physiology. Adiponectin is a powerful hormone produced by your fat cells, yet works almost like an internal fat-burning switch. When levels of adiponectin are high, your metabolism becomes more efficient at breaking down stored fat, your cells become more responsive to insulin, and your body shifts into a state that naturally favors using fat as fuel. But as we age, adiponectin levels steadily decline, and the drop is even steeper for people who already carry extra belly fat. That decline can set off a frustrating cycle. Low adiponectin makes it harder to burn fat, and the more fat you store, especially visceral fat, around the midsection, the lower your adiponectin sinks. Fortunately, certain foods help support and elevate adiponectin, which can tilt your hormones back into a fat-friendly, energy-efficient mode. Pumpkin seeds and almonds are rich in magnesium, a mineral closely tied to healthy hormone balance and improved adiponectin activity. Seeds and nuts with higher magnesium content appear to help restore insulin sensitivity and stabilize blood sugar, two factors that encourage your body to release stored fat rather than hang on to it. Fatty fish like salmon, sardines, and mackerel supply omega-3 fatty acids that calm inflammation, support cell membrane health, and stimulate adiponectin production, making it easier for your metabolism to tap into stubborn fat reserves. Extra virgin olive oil adds another layer of support with its polyphenol and heart-healthy monounsaturated fats, both shown to improve metabolic function and encourage a hormonal environment that favors steady fat burning rather than storage. Even 70% dark chocolate, when eaten in small amounts, contains beneficial flavonoids that may help raise adiponectin while reducing oxidative stress, giving your body a more balanced internal environment. While no single food melts belly fat on its own, consistently eating foods that boost adiponectin can shift your physiology in your favor. Over time, this creates a kinder metabolic landscape, one where fat loss feels less like a constant uphill fight and more like a natural, steady process supported by the way your hormones are meant to work. Carb cycling is often misunderstood as cutting out carbs completely, but in reality, it's a strategic way of rotating your carb intake to work with your body's natural rhythms, not against them. This approach becomes especially valuable for adults over 60, because with age, many people experience a loss of metabolic flexibility. That simply means the body becomes less efficient at switching between fuel sources, particularly when shifting from burning sugars to burning stored fat. When this flexibility declines, weight loss feels harder, energy levels can dip, and the body responds differently to foods that were once easy to metabolize. Carb cycling helps retrain this internal system by gently challenging it in a control pattern. A University of Alabama study used a simple rotation: 2 days of moderate carb eating around 125 grams per day, followed by 1 day of low carb eating at about 50 grams. Over the course of 8 weeks, participants showed notable improvements. Their metabolic flexibility increased by more than half, meaning their bodies became significantly better at accessing and using fat for fuel. On top of that, they saw nearly 4 inches come off their waistlines, suggesting real changes in how their bodies stored and burned energy. What makes this approach so appealing is that it avoids the downsides of extremely low-carb or long-term restrictive diets. Instead of suppressing thyroid function, draining energy, or making the body feel deprived, carb cycling provides regular periods of refueling. Those moderate carb days signal safety to your metabolism, ensuring hormones, mood, and energy stay steady, while the low-carb days encourage your body to tap into fat stores. The result is a rhythm that feels sustainable rather than punishing. It teaches your metabolism to remember how to burn fat efficiently again, allowing for better energy throughout the day and a more responsive digestive system. For many older adults, this balanced approach can be a refreshing alternative to extreme dieting, one that supports metabolic health, keeps the body energized, and fits naturally into real life without forcing dramatic restrictions. Many older adults fall into a familiar pattern with their eating. Barely any protein at breakfast, just a modest amount at lunch, and then a huge portion at dinner. While it might feel natural or convenient, this uneven spread of protein can work against the body in important ways as we age. When a day begins with almost no protein, the muscles are left without the building blocks they need after the overnight fast, which is when the body is especially primed for repair and rebuilding. By the time lunch arrives, the small amount of protein still isn't enough to stimulate the muscle-building processes that help preserve strength, energy, and mobility. Most of the day passes with the muscles underfed, and then, suddenly, Dinner delivers far more protein than the body can efficiently use at once. Research highlighted in the Journal of Nutrition shows that adults around age 65 and older who take in roughly 30 grams of protein at each meal, not just in one large evening serving, maintain more muscle and carry significantly less visceral fat, even when their total daily protein is the same as those who eat unevenly. This suggests that timing matters just as much as quantity. When protein is evenly distributed across breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the body can trigger muscle protein synthesis multiple times a day, which helps slow age-related muscle loss, supports a healthier metabolism, and makes fat loss easier. A practical guideline is to aim for a daily protein intake roughly equal to your body weight in pounds, then divide that amount evenly across 3 meals. In doing so, each meal provides enough protein to switch on the muscle-building mechanism, giving your body the steady support it needs. This balanced approach doesn't just help preserve strength. It also helps stabilize blood sugar, reduce cravings, improve satiety, and promote a more active metabolism. Over time, this shift in eating habits can make a meaningful difference in how strong, energetic, and lean you feel, especially as you age. Step 5 focuses on clearing out foods that quietly fuel inflammation. Items that seem harmless or even healthy at first glance, yet interfere with the body's natural ability to burn fat efficiently. Many people don't realize that fat cells aren't just passive storage units. They actively release inflammatory chemicals when under stress, and those chemicals signal the body to store even more fat. This creates a frustrating cycle where the harder you try to exercise your way out of weight gain, the more your body resists because the underlying inflammation keeps the fat storage switch turned on. Research highlights the power of making simple dietary shifts. In University of South Carolina study, adults were asked to remove just 4 categories of common foods for 3-week seed oils, such as soybean, corn, and canola, added sugars, refined grains, and conventional dairy. The results were significant. Participants saw inflammation markers drop by 41%, and their waistlines slimmed by an average of 1.4 inches in that short period. What makes this approach appealing is that it doesn't require strict dieting or complicated meal plans. Instead, it focuses on easy swaps that fit into daily life. Replacing seed oils with more stable, nourishing fats like olive or avocado oil supports better metabolic balance. Choosing whole grains over refined options like white bread or white pasta provides steadier energy and fewer blood sugar spikes. Opting for fermented dairy, such as yogurt or kefir, offers beneficial probiotics and tends to be easier for the body to digest compared to conventional dairy products. These small, intentional changes can help calm hidden inflammation, making it easier for the body to access stored fat and convert it into usable energy. Instead of trying to outrun inflammation with endless cardio, this step invites you to work with your metabolism rather than against it. By giving your body foods that reduce internal stress, you create the conditions for natural, sustainable fat burning to take place. Step 6 is all about dramatically increasing your intake of soluble fiber, and this one step can have a powerful impact on your health, especially when it comes to reducing visceral fat. Soluble fiber is a unique type of fiber that dissolves in water and forms a thick, slow-moving gel inside your stomach. This gel slows down the speed of digestion, helping you feel fuller for longer, preventing rapid blood sugar spikes, and giving your body more time to absorb nutrients. But the real magic happens in your gut. Soluble fiber acts as food for the beneficial bacteria that live in your digestive system. When these good bacteria ferment soluble fiber, they produce short-chain fatty acids, powerful signaling molecules that tell your liver to dial down its production of new fat, especially the deep, harmful visceral fat that forms around the organs. And this isn't just theory. A long-term Wake Forest study followed over 1,100 adults for 5 years and discovered something remarkable. For every additional 10 grams of soluble fiber someone consumed per day, they lost 3.7% of their visceral fat, and that was without changing anything else about their lifestyle. This is especially important after age 60, when levels of helpful gut bacteria naturally decline. Soluble fiber becomes even more valuable at that point because it directly nourishes the remaining beneficial microbes, allowing them to rebound and continue protecting your metabolism. That's why this step sets a clear and simple daily goal: aim for 25 grams of soluble fiber every day. It's easier than you might think. You can start your morning with steel-cut oats mixed with a spoonful of flaxseed, both excellent sources of soluble fiber. At lunch, add a serving of lentils or beans, which provide not only fiber, but also slow-burning carbohydrates and plant protein. In the afternoon, reach for an apple. The pectin in apples is one of the most effective forms of soluble fiber for improving gut health. And one of the most important parts of this step is spreading your intake throughout the day. Soluble fiber works best when your gut bacteria receive a steady supply, not a single large dose. By fueling them meal after meal, you help keep your digestive system balanced, your blood sugar steady, and your liver signaling properly, all of which support long-term fat loss and metabolic health. Increasing soluble fiber isn't about dieting or restriction, it's about nourishing your body in a way that naturally shifts your internal chemistry toward better health. This simple daily habit can become one of the most reliable tools for reducing dangerous visceral fat and supporting a healthier, more resilient gut ecosystem as you age. Timing your meals can be just as important as what you choose to eat, and Step 7 focuses entirely on this powerful but often overlooked rhythm of the body. Research from institutions such as the Salk Institute has shown that adults, especially those over 60, respond very differently to food depending on when it's consumed. The same breakfast eaten in the morning can trigger a completely different hormonal reaction if it's pushed into the late evening. As the day fades, our natural insulin sensitivity declines, meaning the body becomes less efficient at using the glucose from meals. Some findings suggest this drop can be significant, and when insulin remains higher for longer, the body shifts into storage mode instead of fat-burning mode. To illustrate this, imagine two groups eating identical foods and identical calories for 12 weeks. The only variable is timing. One group finishes eating by early evening, while the other continues well into the night. Even with everything else held constant, the early eaters tend to lose noticeably more belly fat, suggesting that the metabolic machinery of the body may simply perform better earlier in the day. A helpful metaphor is to picture your metabolism like a campfire. Large logs catch best when thrown on early, when the fire is burning hottest, not when the embers are dying down. By front-loading your nutrition, making breakfast or lunch your most substantial meal, and tapering food intake toward night, you work with your internal rhythms rather than against them. Finishing your final meal at least 3 hours before bed allows digestion to complete, insulin to fall, and the body to shift into its natural overnight repair and restoration mode. This is not about restriction, but alignment, adjusting your eating window to sync with your biology so the deeper changes you're aiming for have the best possible foundation.